to the morning show here on Arise News.
Well, the Nigerian media is yet to come to terms with the recent incident between former Aviation Minister Femi Fani-Kayode and a journalist with the Daily Trust, Ayo Charles, who he described as very stupid at a press conference in Calabar, Cross River State. Now, the recent development brings to mind the plight of Nigerian journalists as regards freedom of speech, which seems to be constantly trampled upon by very important personalities of the Nigerian society. Recounting what transpired during the press conference, the journalist says it took the intervention of the Chief Press Secretary to the Cross River State Governor, Ben Nayade, Christian Ita, and other journalists before the former minister could leave him, but not before saying, quote, "You can go ahead and write your rubbish. I have marked you," end quote. Meanwhile, Mr. Fani-Kayode, who is widely known by his initials, FFK, had, through a series of tweets yesterday morning, apologized for his actions. He tweeted, quote, "I met with my advisors and I wish to say the following. I hereby withdraw the word stupid, which I used in my encounter with the journalist in Calabar. I have many friends in the media who are offended by losing my cool and using such words. I hereby express my regrets for doing so," end quote. Well, joining us now to discuss this further is human rights lawyer Nwokedi. Welcome to the program and good morning.
Good morning. It's my pleasure.
Now, I assume that you have taken a look at that video that went viral. What comes to you? What jumps at you when you look at that video as a Nigerian first and as a human rights lawyer?
For me, it's quite sad and very, very unnecessary. Because a person of FFK that we know, answering questions in the public glare, should conduct and comport himself very, very gently. And then having been in the media, being a spokesperson to the president, he should know that questions ought to be approached in a very diplomatic and civilized manner. And in the event you are asked questions that might be very, very provocative or annoying, the best you have to do is just to say no answer, or just tell the person you're not giving any answer to that. But expressing that unnecessary outburst is very, very sad. I mean, it's something unethical and also detrimental to freedom of expression, because to a large extent, that action looked quite intimidating and quite overbearing, and might even intimidate even journalists, you know, especially when they are faced with the discharge of their obligations as regards a high-profile personality, which ought not to be. As a journalist, you have unfettered license to talk to anybody, irrespective of class or position or a kind of office occupied by the person. You know, that's why you are the mouthpiece of the people. You ask every question that will benefit the people. And not in all cases that these questions should align with the thought patterns of the mindset of the person being interviewed. In most cases, questions might be thrown to you that might not be that palatable to you. It might be a question that might even be very, very necessary, or that might unravel some essential things that will be of great benefit to the society. So you don't need to express a kind of outburst. You take it cool and then respond to issues raised. By your conduct, you'll be able to communicate the message to the people and also respond to issues on ground. But if the question is unnecessary, or you feel that, look, I don't need to answer, you just tell the person no response, and not to exhibit unnecessary outbursts.
Well, Joe Nwokedi, well, somebody, while you were just responding to that question, somebody sent me a text saying they would like to see what you look like. That if it's not, if your glasses is not a medical one, maybe you just let them see your face. Incidentally, the message was sent by a lady.
If that is a request, I will oblige. I will oblige. I'll just do that now.
Anyway, let me ask you. Some people are concerned that after that outburst by Femi Fani-Kayode, Ayo Charles, the reporter from Daily Trust, started apologizing. Some people think that, well, he should go beyond, he shouldn't have apologized, and that, Fani-Kayode also apologizing doesn't go far enough, and that maybe your child should go to court, because clearly, if indeed Fani-Kayode said, "I've marked you," that looks like a threat. You know, obviously was also intimidated. Do you think there is any legal dimension to this in terms of release for Ayo Charles?
Yeah, I've actually looked at that dimension. You know, before you go to court to seek redress for any breach or any contravention or any act of abuse against your person, a course of action would have arisen. There would have been a proper course of action that would have been said to have arisen. So when you approach the court will look at the issues and look at the merits of what is brought before the courts before the court can now decide on whether the matter lacks merit or whether the matter is a kind of matter that will be had in the courts. For me, what actually transpired might be like it's not something so good, but then whether a course of action has vividly arisen from that, I will say no. Because if you look at the word stupid, it may not be a good word, but then threat to life, in the circumstance that statement was made, was there any likelihood of use of force on the man? Was he slapped? Was he beaten? Did he stand up to like further demonstrate the intention towards causing that harm to the journalist? And then did he abuse the journalist of being immoral, which would have gone deeper into his personality, or being a thief, or being a fraudster, and all that? So the word stupid requires a very severe interpretation, and then it's a kind of had a very wide scope. So it's not something that somebody can easily go to court and then start seeking judicial interpretation as why somebody said he's stupid. I believe the apology offered by the former minister, for me, is enough to allow the issue to be settled.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much, Joe Nwokedi, for being on the show this morning. We do appreciate it. Okay, I do hear that we do have some time for one more question. Let me ask you very quickly. For those who say this was just a verbal assault on one journalist and is being over-exaggerated by the media, what do you say to them as regards the rights of journalists in Nigeria and freedom of speech?
For me, by virtue of Section 39 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, it's made it so clear that every person shall be entitled to freedom of expression, including freedom to hold opinions and to receive and impart information without any hindrance. Without any hindrance. So, coming from the definition of Section 39 of the Constitution that granted the powers to journalists, unfettered powers to journalists to transmit the information, communicate to the people, ask questions without any interference. So the action actually undermined the provision of that section, and it's a gross violation of the Constitution. So in that regard, it's not just like an utterance directed at a particular journalist. For me, it is something directed at the whole journalists in Nigeria, because if such action should be allowed to just go down without being adequately attended to, there is likelihood that other high-profile personalities will begin to address journalists in that manner. And for the fact that the Constitution has already made a provision for that, as Section 39, that says that every person shall be entitled to freedom of expression, including freedom to hold opinions, and then to receive and impart information without any hindrance. Without any hindrance. So that means they have unalloyed access to whatever question they want to ask, whatever opinion they want to pass, whatever information they want to get across to anybody. And that, in the course of doing that, they have to interview people, they have to speak to people irrespective of their class. So the Constitution has already guaranteed them the absolute powers to operate within the confines of what the law says. So the unnecessary outburst is a gross violation of the provisions of that section of the Constitution. So for me, it's not just directed at that particular journalist there. It's something that has to do with a violation of a section of the Constitution that covers every issue that has to do with freedom of expression, freedom to hold views, to hold opinion, to receive and impart knowledge and information without any hindrance.
Well, thank you very much, Joe Nwokedi, for your insights and for creating time to join us this morning on the morning show. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.